Jesus of Mexico. So today I want to answer some of your questions that people have been asking in emails and most recently in an Instagram story that I posted. If you're not following me on Instagram, shameless plug, you can follow me at Eternal Expat. I post stories from my travels and life in Mexico City and all that jazz pretty much every day. I'm going to break this into two different videos because the questions were pretty much split down the middle between questions about Mexico and Mexico City and questions about life as a blogger, digital nomad, location independent worker, whatever you'd like to use. So today I will chat to you about all the Mexico and Mexico City based questions. So I got a lot of the same questions, so I'm just gonna ask them and answer them only once. Okay, so my family and I are going for the first time to Mexico City. Recommend any hotels? So I have a few favorites. I prefer personally boutique hotels that are independently owned or Airbnbs. So I try to avoid like the big chain hotels when possible. To be fair, in Mexico City, boutique hotels are usually a little bit cheaper than staying at the big chain hotels. So if you want to stay in the Centro Historico, my favorite hotel there is called Chaya B&B. It's in an old Art Deco style building. It's really cool. They have hammocks outside. The people who run it are awesome. The breakfast, which is included in your stay, is so good. If you stay on a weekend, they have chilaquiles. Oh, delicious. If you want to stay in Condesa, I really love Condesa Haus, spelled H-A-U-S. Again, that's independently owned by a guy who was born and raised in Mexico City. He bought this building, which used to be someone's house. It's basically a mansion, and he redid it to be a hotel, and the rooms are beautiful. Be sure to ask to go into the Pueblo room where the tiles in the bathroom are stunning. Again, breakfast is included. It's located in a quiet side street in Condesa, so really well located. If they're booked up, Bloody Blues in Condesa is also a really nice boutique hotel. And in Roma Norte, I really like Palomilla B&B. Again, independently owned by people born and raised here in Mexico City, and it's just a really nice hotel. Again, breakfast included. All of the rooms are beautiful. The beds are so comfortable. So yeah, I hope that is helpful for those of you that want a good hotel recommendation. Do you recommend any food tours in Mexico City, or is it better to explore on your own? I think it's totally cool to do both. There are some amazing food tours here in Mexico City. I really love tasty food tours. The guys that run that are from Canada, and they have set up awesome tours around Roma Norte for the most part. They do taco tours, they do night tours that include mezcal and craft beer tastings. I also love the Curious Mexican, Anais. She is a fantastic tour guide. She born and raised in Mexico City and knows a ton about food here. And Ubish from Mexico Underground is also a really great food tour guide. He does really cool tours of the Centro Historico and also really amazing tours of like Xochimilco and the chinampas that are there. So I will link all of their websites down below, so that should help you. And if you want to go it alone too, like I think maybe on your first or second day in the city, take a tour, and then for the second half of the of your trip, like wander around, like be brave and try street stalls. And I have a guidebook. I don't know if you know, but I have a guidebook in Mexico City with tons of information about street food and restaurants. I will link that below. You can buy it on Amazon. You can also buy it on my website, eternal-expat.com. Are there opportunities, in addition to blog work, for non-Mexicans to get jobs in Mexico? That is a very broad question. I got a few questions about finding job opportunities in Mexico, and more specifically in Mexico City. I'm not an expert in answering this question because I have only ever worked for myself living here in Mexico City, or as a freelancer for companies in the US. So my boyfriend, he got a job here before we moved to Mexico City. He's a soccer coach, and they set up a lot of stuff for us. They helped us get an apartment. They helped sort out like his bank and his visa and all that sort of stuff. So those sort of opportunities exist, but you really, like moving to any country that isn't yours, you have to be skilled at something. If you're a teacher or a soccer coach or an engineer, or you have experience in PR or that sort of stuff, and you speak Spanish, or you can find a company that is an English speaking company here. Yeah, there are job opportunities. If you want to be a teacher at one of the private schools, or you teach English, and you can come over and you can teach at some of the English schools that are here, or maybe you speak another language and you can teach that language. There are schools all over Mexico City where you can apply to be a teacher. And those sort of companies will give you visas. It's really like applying for a job in any country. You need to prove basically that you are going to be a better employee, or you're better for the job than someone who already lives in Mexico and has a visa in Mexico. So it's tough. It's not easy to do. There's a lot of digital nomads here in Mexico City who work for companies in the US, or they work for companies in other countries, and they're here on temporary residency visas, or perhaps they're here on tourist visas because they're not working for another company in Mexico. So there are a lot of options, but the reality is that it's not easy, and it takes a lot of work to find companies that are willing to sponsor you here in Mexico. What are must-see and must-eat places in CDMX? I'm there in 6 weeks, currently live in Mexico. Okay, so if you've been to Mexico before, and maybe Mexico City is your first trip, gosh, must-see. I love the Museum of Anthropology. It is one of the best museums in Mexico, in my opinion. You'll find everything from Mayan and Aztec artifacts to things from as far back as the Mesoamericans and leading up until nearly present time in like the Yucatan and here in the Central Valley and down south near Chiapas and up north in Monterrey. It's so varied. It's such an incredible museum. So that is, I recommend that everyone go there. The other place that I really love, and I always take visitors who come to Mexico City, is Teotihuacan. Those are the pyramids that are about half an hour, 45 minutes north of the city. You can take a bus there, you can take a tour there, private or group, and it's just incredible. It's one of the most awe-inspiring places that I've been to in Mexico. So definitely that's a must-see in my opinion. As for places that I love to eat, it depends on what you want to have. Mexico City is best known for its pastor, which is a pork taco that is marinated, sliced up, and then all stacked up on like a skewer, and then it rotisseries around in front of a flame. Sometimes they cut it off before it's cooked and they finish it on like a flat top. Almost always topped with pineapple and cilantro and onion, and it is delicious. My favorite places to have that are El Huequito in the Centro Historico, Tacos Alvaro Obregón, which is in Roma Norte, and I also really like Tizoncito in Condesa. Those are all really great places to try pastor. How far in advance did you prepare for your move to Mexico City? 2 months. Luke, my boyfriend, and I have been traveling around Asia for about 6 months, and we didn't have a job, and I was just starting to freelance, and we ended up back in the UK where Luke did a course to get another qualification, and we kind of were just trying to figure out what to do next when Luke found this job opportunity here in Mexico City, and he applied and he went through the interview process, and very quickly between when he applied and was offered the role, we decided, yes, for sure, let's go. So that happened towards the end of May 2016, and on July 7th, 2016, we landed here in Mexico City. So we did not prepare very much, but this is not the first time that we've moved abroad. We lived in New Zealand and Australia and South Korea, and then we traveled a lot, and we've moved between the US and the UK quite a bit. So we don't have that much stuff. We don't move with furniture, we don't have children, we don't have pets. We have houseplants that we sell every time we leave. So for me, it's not a very big preparation. I don't have very much to get ready to move with, and that's because of the way that we've lived. It's been the best for us to not have too many things to weigh us down and anchor us to one place. So That's probably not helpful for many people, but that's the truth. Best places and neighborhoods people should visit or stay when in CDMX for the first time. The Centro Historico is a must in my opinion. During the day, I love it. The Bellas Artes, the Zocalo, the Revolution Monument, all those areas around the city are really beautiful. There's lots of museums. It's fantastic. I don't particularly love staying in that part of the city just because it's not my favorite place at night. I've never had a problem there, but I don't love the nightlife there as much as I love it in other parts of the city. So I always recommend to people who are in any way concerned about safety to stay in neighborhoods like Polanco, Roma Norte, or Condesa, or even Cuauhtémoc, which is sort of just north of Paseo de la Reforma, and Juarez, which is just south of Paseo de la Reforma, but north of Roma Norte. So let me list them for you. Centro Historico, Juarez, Cuauhtémoc, Condesa, Polanco, Roma Norte. Those are some of my favorite central neighborhoods. Great places to base yourself, great places to visit and spend time and check out all the amazing restaurants. So yeah. Good restaurants in Mexico City, prices something like 1,100 pesos per person, including wine. So 1,100 pesos is roughly just over $50, $55, depending on the day and how the exchange rate is working. So for about $50 per person, you can eat at some really nice restaurants. I love Merotoro, which is in Condesa. That's a really fantastic restaurant. I also really love Fonda Fina, which is in Roma Norte. I love Nicos, which is in Claveria. And it's a little bit out of the city, maybe 15 or 20 minutes in an Uber from one of the central neighborhoods, but it's so worth it. It is so delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. The prices are so low for the quality of the food and the dining atmosphere, so I really recommend adding Nicos to your list. I'm losing my voice from all this chatter. Whew. If you were to recommend one market to visit for arts, Mexican arts and crafts, and authenticity, which would it be? Ooh, for authenticity, not my favorite word. But if you're looking for art and crafts and souvenirs that have been made by people who live in Mexico, there's a government-owned store and it's called Fonart, F-O-N-A-R-T, I believe. And there's a location along Paseo de la Reforma, and I believe there's one other location. But it's really spectacular. A lot of the, all of the art has been made in Mexico around the country and it's brought into the city. And then for markets, Sabado, Bazar Sabado, it's every Saturday in San Angel, and it is so spectacular. The art is beautiful. It's slightly more expensive than other places around the city, but it's really fantastic. Most of the artists are there selling their art on Saturdays and Sundays in Jardín del Arte, which is Juarez, Cuauhtémoc neighborhood. They have a really great, like mostly paintings all through the art park, and that is really spectacular. I highly recommend that. And then my last recommendation for good souvenirs, which is cheap and some may or may not come from China, is La Ciudadela. About 80% of the stuff that's in that market is local. It's made in Mexico, some of it's made in Mexico City, some of the people who make them are there selling them, but some of it is not local. So just be aware of what it is you're buying and the quality of what you're buying, and you'll be fine there. Favorite cities you've traveled to in Mexico and beyond, places you'd still like to go in Mexico. Okay, so I have absolutely loved Oaxaca, amazing. Chiapas, incredible, so much natural beauty. Puerto Escondido is still my favorite beach town. I recently went to Puerto Vallarta, which I really enjoyed. I'd love to go back again and maybe see more of it. We really just laid on the beach for a week, which was delightful. And then I love the Yucatan, but the more time that I spend visiting other beach towns in Mexico, the more I think that the Yucatan isn't my favorite place, but I am determined to go back and visit more places inland, and also to go to Chetumal and Bacalar. Those are places that I'd still really love to go to. I am pretty intrigued to go to Monterrey. I have a friend who used to live there, and I think it'd be really cool to go and check it out. The food looks amazing there. I also still really want to go to Copper Canyon, where you ride the train through the canyon. That looks incredible. We just haven't had a chance to get there when it isn't a school holiday and super, super busy. So that's definitely high on my priority list also. Cool, chic, modern, trendy boutique hairstylist who might be able to speak a little bit of English. I get my hair done at a place called Nomad Hair Australia. The hairdresser Lizzie Johns is from Australia, but she has been living in Mexico for almost 10 years. She's an absolutely amazing hairdresser. She does fantastic color, great cuts. It's a small little boutique place, and she's great. I really recommend it. I will link with her below also. Just fantastic. I hope that answers some of your questions about Mexico City. I know this was quite a long video now. My throat is like a little bit dry from all this talking. If you have any other questions about Mexico City or Mexico in general, let me know in the comments. I will totally be on the comments for the next couple of hours answering your questions. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.